So place now, not been on the exam for a long time, so a good section to look at and revise. So we need to understand different methods of getting products to the market. So these are distribution channels, and the benefits and drawbacks of using different distribution channels. And we also need to look at selling over the internet as well. So why is place important? Well, it can affect the image and how much people are willing to pay for the product. It can affect how you can get your product to the market and whether a customer can actually consume it. I mean, there's often a lot of demand for some products, but you can't actually purchase it. So sometimes I go to the supermarket and I've seen a product advertised on TV and I really want it, and I go and ask them and say, oh no, we don't stock that here. And it's sort of a shame really, because then you can't purchase the product and you miss out on that sale. If you're selling a product where people purchase it just by walking past, they purchase it on the spur of the moment, say, you might need a large amount of footfall, definitely if you're working in kind of the retail sectors as well. And that might be important if you're selling online as well, that you need to get traffic to your website. Place is important as well for certain products, and they might require licensing, such as medicines, alcohol, tobacco, and it also affects the level of control you have. We'll go back onto this when we look at different channels of distribution. So if we look at what the definition of channel distribution is, it is the means by which the goods are passed from the producers to the final consumers. And a few more definitions. Your supply chain is the chain, the total chain that the product travels through from raw materials to consumption. An intermediary is a business that links the producer and the consumer. And agents are usually used when we're selling abroad. And it's a bit like a travel agent. You know, you go to a travel agent and they're not actually the one, you know, you're not going to go to their house on holiday, are you? They're just putting you in contact with the hotels and the flights, and they kind of organise it for you, but you're not actually going on holiday with them. So an agent is a little bit like that. When a business wants to sell in a foreign country, they might get in touch with an agent in that country, and the agent's going to put them in contact with department stores or appropriate places to sell their product. They're not actually going to take ownership and buy those products from the company or the business. They're just linking the buyer and the sellers together. So if we look at different, this is not all distribution channels, this is just a few models. So we might get from the direct from the manufacturer to the consumer, or you might go through another retailer, or they might sell it to a wholesaler who then sells it to a retailer who then sells it to the consumer. Or you might have agents in the middle there, often if you're selling to foreign countries. So if I think of a can of Coke, you know, I don't even think that this level exists here. I don't think you can directly buy a can of Coke from the Coca-Cola company unless they have their own shops on the site. But it's very much that they go through these levels. Lots of places will go through a wholesaler, but maybe Coca-Cola will sell to the big companies like Walmart directly. I'm not too sure. So this was a question on Sigma 3 on different channels. So Sigma 3 basically is a kitchen company, and you can read about them there. And they have a variety of distribution channels. So they sell them through their own showrooms. And it says 11 prestigious retail showrooms in South Wales, Lancashire, Surrey and Sussex. It has a well-designed website. But it also sells it through independent retail showrooms and through house builders as well, such as Charles Church, Bellaway and Barratt Homes. So it then gives you a nice diagram showing these different ways. So their own retail showrooms, and then other businesses' retail showrooms, and then through the house builders. And the question is, what are the pros of, what are the benefits of these different channels? So here's the question: explain the possible benefits to Sigma 3 of the distribution channels that it uses. And the question before that was define the term distribution channels. So I've just broken these down. So direct from the manufacturer to the consumer, what's the benefit of using that channel? Well, if we go back to this diagram here, I think the level of control that you have is a real benefit to the business. So you can set the way that it's displayed in terms of the merchandising, you can set the prices, you can set kind of the sales promotions and how your maybe staff interact with the customers. And so you have a real level of control, and you can kind of really control the brand image that you're trying to project. But you know, as if we go back to this, they only have showrooms in these areas. If Coca-Cola, for example, had to have their own shop every time they wanted to sell Coca-Cola, they wouldn't reach a very big audience. They've got to go through other businesses to get their products to the customer. So using other retailers and selling to a retailer or to a wholesaler is beneficial, because you can then reach a wider audience and get your product to a wider market. Now these retailers will want a cut of the profits, so maybe it'll deliver less profits to you than selling it directly, but it's still money, it's still profit that's coming in. Wholesalers, they're going to purchase a really large amount from you, so you get that kind of, for them it's the bulk buying economy of scale, but for you, you get a really large order. So in this case, like, the house builders are a little bit like the wholesalers. So what's the benefit of that? Because they're probably going to want a bit of a discount there as well. But the benefit is that you get guaranteed really large sales. So that's good for you. And then using agents, they're going to be able to put you in contact with suitable retailers. They're going to be able to give you advice on the legal requirements, the social customs, and those types of things that should hopefully make your marketing mix a little bit more successful for your product. So there's lots and lots of different factors here that are similar to the factors that I've mentioned. So let's go on to the internet. There's a nice article there on the BBC website about the growth of the internet. But the internet selling is often, if I just skip ahead to a question, consider the view that the growth of internet shopping has benefited consumers more than businesses. So it's often a what I call matrix style question, because this is how I would plan it out in a matrix style. So I'd have pros and cons, but pros to the business and pros to the consumer, as well as cons to the business and cons to the consumer. So it could reduce costs, because fewer sales assistants, you don't need expensive high street rent, the heating and the fitting might be lower, and you reach more customers. That's not reduce costs, but reach more customers, hopefully more revenue, more sales. However, a good website is expensive. I know this because my dad is a graphic designer, and they are expensive. A properly designed website, which I would advise every business to invest in, they are expensive. You can get technical problems as well. It's really annoying when you try and log into a website and they've got a technical problem, and usually I just get so frustrated I just go to somebody else's shop or somebody else's website and buy the product, because I'm very impatient. You will have to employ specialists as well to kind of update it or keep your web designer on a retainer fee to keep it ticking over. And not all customers want to purchase over the internet. Some of the older generation don't always trust the internet. Some things, maybe I'm a little bit behind the times, but I don't really like buying clothes from the internet, because I don't know, I'm not one of those people that can just put on stuff and it looks good. I really need to try it out. So I like shopping the old traditional way personally. So, but books, buy loads of books on the internet. Don't mind where I buy books from. So some things people buy and some things people are not so keen on. For the consumer, access to really wide range of products, 24 hours a day, anywhere you are, reduces your travel and your search time costs as well. But you may require a bit of advice. I've often seen products on the internet and thought, I think this is what I want, but I'm not too sure. It'd be great if I could speak to someone right now. And there are obviously viruses and security risks and all of those types of things. Now, there are some businesses that are completely based on the internet, and then there are businesses that we would say wouldn't exist very well on the internet. So I think this would be an amazing idea, actually. I'd love an app where I say, fill me up, and someone in the night comes around and fills up my car, and then in the morning I have a full tank of petrol or diesel. That would be amazing. I think that would be a great business idea, but probably not very profitable. That's probably why we don't have it. Doctors, I'm sure you have the NHS direct line and all those kind of things, but there's no substitute for face-to-face, absolutely no substitute. And if, very kind of somber thought here, if you have been bereaved, I think there are funeral, not services, but funeral plans that you can purchase on the internet, but actually you might just want a sympathetic person that can take you through all the details. It's going to be very, very kind to you, offer a very personalised, sensitive service. And unfortunately, machines, they don't offer that at all. So here was an exam question. There have been a few questions based on this before as well. So have a look through the past papers, through the mark schemes, and see if you can identify the pros and cons yourself.